Hi everyone. So today I wanted to go over my Oracle decks with you. I have my notes all ready and I'm ready to start. Now I want to preface this by saying that I don't normally use my Oracle decks as much as my tarot decks. And I don't really know why. So basically, what I'm going to go over is what each of the decks are and what they mean. And, if you have any questions, I can probably link them for you in the description box. And if you have any ideas of what you think I might like, then feel free to leave a comment and let's get started. So my first Oracle deck is called the Tree Keeper's Oracle, and it's by Angie Sullins, and the artwork is by Stephanie Law. And I think that Stephanie Law does an incredible job with all of the art that she does. So basically, this deck is based on the symbolism of trees as protector spirits. And it takes its inspiration from a lot of like Druidic lore, or even indigenous lore of, like tree spirits, of like forest spirits and the like. So basically, it's like places where the veil is thin between worlds. And according to some of the information in here, a tree keeper from Finland, I believe it was Finland, gifted the author Angie Sullins the legacy book in which she, where is it? In which all the cards of the deck are derived. So I thought that was really a nice story. So first off, let's take a look at the gilt edges. I really like the gilt edges. I think they're a nice touch with the cards. And the backs of the cards, you can see kind of the tree and kind of like the spirits within the tree. So I'm going to show you a couple of cards. So this one is called the Keeper of Journeys. And I like this one because it reminds me of the Norse god Odin and his affiliation with the ravens and knowledge of the unknown, basically. In the story, he gave his eye for knowledge and truth. And I think that that's a really nice interpretation of that particular card. Let's go through another one. This one is called the Keeper of the Invisibles. And I'm not exactly sure what mythology the artist or the author is drawing upon in this one, but I can only guess that it could be from like the fairies in Ireland or in Scotland. And I always love the artwork in these decks, and you should know by now that I am a big artwork nerd in decks. This one is really cool. This one's called the Keeper of Endings. You can see a fairy kind of holding a flower in her hands, and it's just really quite lovely. So there's that deck. And it comes with a nice kind of like magnetic kind of clasp. My next deck is probably one of my more used decks, and it's called the Citadel, and it's by Fen Inkwright. And this is an archetype oracle deck, and it was formed from the fantasy lore or literature of tabletop gaming, so like Dungeons and Dragons or Magic the Gathering. And what I really like about this deck is that it's like a tricolor kind of deck. So there's only black, gold, and white in this for colors. And so there are 4 suits in this deck for each, you know, for all of the cards. And basically they correlate with the suits of the tarot. So for example, there is the, let me get my stuff right. Okay. That's interesting. Okay, so I think I got it. One second. I don't know what I did. I really don't know what I did. Okay, here we go. So, after that little kerfuffle, so the Academy card is, or not the card, but the suit, the Academy suit is, it corresponds with the swords, the suit of swords, so the element air, and that's symbolized by an upright triangle with a line through the top. And so basically that means like development and growth are the main focuses of this deck, or of this suit. So as you can see, it's got the little triangle down here with the line through the top. And there's also the court, which its keywords focus on achievement and responsibility, and that is associated with the suit of wands or fire, and it's symbolized by a right side up triangle. This is the assassin card, so the triangle is down here, and I just love how it's kind of like, you can see the artwork. Next is the crowd, which it corresponds to the suit of pentacles, so that is a triangle with a line through it, or an upside down triangle with a line through it. So I thought that's an interesting card, the Miser. And lastly is the Troop, which focuses on internal thoughts and identity. And the corresponding tarot suit is the suit of cups, and water is the element. So basically that symbol is an upside down triangle. So I really love this deck. It allows me to kind of get an idea of someone. If I am feeling uncertain about how someone is, then these cards kind of help me. And here is the back of the cards. And these cards are unique because they're octagonal, so they have 8 sides. And this is probably one of my favorite ones, but this deck will help me kind of understand why I feel a certain way about someone. Like, why don't I like this famous person, or why don't I like this book character? It can be for anyone, really. And I think that's what makes it unique. So, I am on the lookout for more archetype type of oracles. If anyone is willing to let me know, I would be happy. And next is the Goddess Power Oracle by Colette Baron-Reid. And this is basically a deck of 52 goddesses from around the world. And it's basically intended to allow the user or the person asking the question to sort of reconnect with the divine feminine. And so here is the back of the deck. I don't know if you can see that, but... And a couple of the cards, I will show you my favorite one. Kali, the Hindu goddess of creation and destruction. That is just amazing. I love that one goddess can have that power in her hands. Another goddess in here is Persephone. So, you know, the goddess of spring or inexperience, the Greek goddess who married Hades, the Greek god of the underworld, and lives there for 6 months of the year. So, as you can tell, I do enjoy fantasy and mythology and folklore. So that is one of my favorite things. It's always fascinated me. The next one is another goddess oracle deck. It's called the Goddess Guidance Oracle Cards by Doreen Virtue, and it has an interesting story because I'm not sure if this is actually still in print. I acquired this on Amazon a few years ago, and I think right now, I think the author does not want anyone to buy these because she sees them as cavorting with the devil, I guess. I think that's an interesting take on it, that she, I guess, sort of drifted so far, but I mean, I do not see this as demonic. I see this as a way of reconnecting with the self. And I think that a lot of people confuse that, like, spirituality and religion are very different things. So, I think that it's important to make that distinction of, you know, religiosity versus spirituality. And so I'm looking through some of these. Okay. So there are a couple I wanted to show you. This one is Ix Chel, and she is a dual goddess of ancient Mesoamerican mythology, where her sister goddess is Shakshel, who is the mother crone figure of this. So Shakshel is more like the new moon, and Ix Chel is more representative of the full moon. So the mother figure or maiden. And so I just think that it's really nice that this deck has some sort of indigenous mythology in it. Just like this one, this is Sedna, and she is I think she's the Eskimo or Inuit Eskimo goddess of like the ocean, of the sea. So I think that that's really, really nice that this deck has indigenous folklore in it. And I forgot, here's the back of the deck. The next one is called Woodland Wardens by Jessica Rue. And I think she's also the author and also the illustrator of this one. And I'm very excited for September because she has a new tarot deck coming out, which I'm very excited about. And what I like about this deck is that it's inspired by history, folklore, and mythology. And so what's really unique, well, here's the back. Let me show that to you first. What's unique about this is that each card has an animal and a flower on it, and both represent different aspects of the keyword or message on the card. So let's do one, for example. It's called The Snail and the Huckleberry, and that is number 41. So you can see the snail is in the middle and the huckleberries kind of surround it. And its meaning is to trust in the invisible. And so the author is talking about how while the snail seems like a simple creature, its shell is just full of all this mystery. Like, it has so much to offer, and how it represents the cycle of life. And then the huckleberry is interesting because in 19th century slang, it was used as a person who didn't really matter too much, and it's actually a fruit that grows pretty much anywhere, and quite a bit of it grows. So it offers life-sustaining nutrients to both humans and other like woodland forest creatures. So basically both animal and plant kind of offer that deeper meaning into the meaning of the card. And this one is also a really nice one that I enjoy. I've gotten this one quite a bit when I've pulled. And it's called The Boar and the Pumpkin. And it basically means confidence, which is probably warranted. So I just love the artwork on this. Let's see. And I love how, like, each of the animals and the plants in it all represent something of like that kind of balances each other out. And this is the weasel and pine, and it means introspection. So I really like this deck. If I'm, you know, really feeling up to this deck, then I do use it. Not necessarily as it's intended, but however I want. And now the next two, I really love the author and the artists that she partners with. So first I'll do this one. It's by Rebecca Campbell, and the artwork is by Katie Louise, and it's called The Ancient Stones Oracle. So the description describes these as ancient stones as portals of sacred energy. So if you think of it like Stonehenge in England, or standing stones in Scotland, or even the Egyptian and South American pyramids, those are all stones. So this deck kind of gets its inspiration from history, mythology, and folk traditions, or folklore traditions. So let's take a look at the back. Whoa, I'm sleepy, I'm tired. That's the nice back of this. So, and what's nice about these decks with Rebecca Campbell's decks is that it comes with like an attunement kind of oracle. So before you can get like into a meditation, or you can kind of start this as like a ritual kind of experience. So let's take a look at some of these. So every one of these cards has something to do with like stones or rocks. I especially love this one because it's the Cailleach, and I think she is also one of my favorite goddesses. She's a Celtic goddess of knowledge and wisdom, and she's that typical like crone figure, and that symbolism and imagery has always fascinated me. There's this one author, Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who does an amazing story about the crone, and it's great. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it. But anyway, back to this. The Cailleach is an interesting figure because in Celtic mythology, the boulders in, I think, mostly Scotland and Ireland, are basically like, I believe they're her tears, or the stories that like she was carrying apples or some kind of fruit, and they dropped out of her basket and they turned out to be these giant boulders. So I love the story of the wise old woman, like Baba Yaga in Russian and Ukrainian folklore. It's just, I love those stories. A while back I was very inspired to dress up as the Cailleach or a crone for a party I went to, so I did. And the next one I wanted to show you is called Pave Your Own Way. Leadership, Courage, Forge, Don't Follow. So I just think that these oracle cards are just beautiful. I love all of the artwork that are on these cards, that, you know, from the artist that Rebecca Campbell partners with. I think it's just beautiful. Next is trying not to light things on fire. Next is my favorite one by Rebecca Campbell, the Starseed Oracle. And the artwork is Danielle Noel or Noel. I do not know how to pronounce it. So for those of you who don't know, there are several different starseed types. And in this deck, she touches upon multiple. So she talks about like Arcturan, Andromedan, Lemurian, Sirian, Pleiadian, the Golden and Rainbow Children, Indigo Children, so on and so forth. And so basically, this deck is for those of us who are light workers who wish to bring the world into a deeper consciousness, into like a better understanding of each other and just how the world works, and to spread light and instead of fear and hatred. So a lot of these cards, I just love I love all the artwork that are in these cards. This one is called Whale and Orca Elders, and I get a lot of like Sirian energy from this one. And this is the back of the card. I was also thinking about how the origin of like the term starseed is very deeply rooted in white supremacy, which is very troubling. But I think like it's important to kind of acknowledge that and also do better. So this one is it's called the Double Mission, and it's about lightworker starseeds. So I just really love all of what Rebecca Campbell does. She does retreats, she does classes, she does all of this amazing kind of work. And I really admire her, and I aspire to be like her one day. So one more, it's called Earthed, which I think a lot of you might be able to sympathize with. Learning how to be human in the world, but not of it. So I think a lot of us are kind of feeling that right now. So I just love Rebecca Campbell's message of like love and acceptance of everyone. That's one of my favorite things about her, is that she's incredibly inspiring. And I've said that before, but it's true. And let's see. So the last 4 that I have are all by the same author and illustrator. So let me see. They're all, so I should preface this by saying that I only have 4 of the 8 in total of these oracle decks by the same author and illustrator. So it's the Seasons of the Witch. So I only have Imbolc, Ostara, Beltane, and Letha. However, I still need Lammas, Mabon, Samhain, and Yule. So I love these so much. So what's really cool about these is that each deck has specific imagery, like a repeating element within every card. So for example, I'll show you. It's on the back of every card. So this one, it has candles as a repeating element in every image on every card. So for example, let's see. This one is called Antlers. And you can see like the candle imagery like kind of over here where the stag is and kind of like surrounding her. This one is called House Mouse, and the candle is up here at the top above the book or grimoire, whatever it is. And this one is called Consecrate Tools. So if you can tell, she's holding the candles. I think there are some, no, just she's holding them. What I also like about this deck is that it's gilded in blue, if you can see that. I know the lighting kind of stinks, but yeah. I'm always for blue. Blue is my favorite color. Will always and forever be blue, and that's that. The next one that I have is Astara. And the recurring element in this one is the Easter egg. Which is funny because it's not actually on the, well, it is on the back of the card. At first I thought it was like the rabbits, but the Easter eggs are kind of like up here on the sides of the moon. So I'm gonna try and find one where the egg is pretty obvious. So this one is called Sacred Circle. You can see it's kind of, it's her necklace is the Easter egg. So I thought that was really unique. And okay, this one is painted eggs. So of course, Easter eggs, painted eggs. And last but not least, Peach Moonstone. And the Easter egg is up here next to the Peach Moonstone, if you can see it. And also, this deck has rainbow gilding on the edges. I love that little touch. I think it's very unique for certain decks to do that. The next Seasons of the Witch Oracle I have is the Beltane Oracle. And I believe that the recurring element in this one are bees. So I will show you. See the bees around the moon. And I love bees too, so bees are insects. Some of them are pretty small. I love this. This is it's a Highland cow, but it's just a regular cow. So the bees are really small. They're like right there, here, right there, and up here. I don't know if you can really see. This one's a little bit better. You can see the bee a little better in this one. It's called Earth Worship, and the bee is over here. So, This one is also gilded. It is gilded in gold, or gold edged, gold gilded, whatever, what have you. If it were really gilded in gold, it would probably be super expensive, so I don't think it's actual gold. Don't we wish? The next one that I have, oops, I forgot to show you, is Seasons of the Witch Letha Oracle. So I have 4 of them, but not all 8, not yet. And the common theme in this one is butterflies. It is also pink or purple gilded on the edges. So let's take a look at this one. Here's a good one. Oh, what do you know? It's called Lightworker. You can see the butterfly up here. And sometimes you really have to look for the butterflies. This one's called Farmer's Market. And the butterfly is up here. And I don't think, yes, I see it in this one. It's called Wildflowers. The butterfly's teeny tiny, like right above this girl's head. Right there. So, anyway, that is pretty much the rest of my Oracle deck. I'm always on the lookout for more sort of independent artists or brands. I do have some on my list, and if you have any recommendations, please feel free to let me know. And I look forward to seeing you again. Bye.